watching the weekend edition of the Urban Debate with me, Aarti Subramaniam. We're going to round up the day's top stories, starting with the mega IPL auction. 10 franchises, 2 new teams, 600 players available, 33 retained, and 560.5 crore cash to spend. It is a mega sale. Cricketers from across the world up for the IPL auction. Let's bring you the big takeaways from day one of the Indian Premier League auction. Ishan Kisan becoming the most expensive player, retained for 15.25 crores by the Mumbai Indians. Deepak Chahar, the most expensive bowler, going for 14 crores, again retained by the CSK. Former Delhi skipper Shreyas Iyer going to KKR for 12.25 crores. Well, we're going to find out the most expensive players in just a bit, but Steve Smith, Imran Tahir, Shakib Al Hasan, some of the international players who have gone unsold. Well, let's just dissect some of the big buys, who missed out, who probably earned more than they should have. We have Gaurav Gupta of the Times of India and Alan Sippy, former cricketer, to help us analyze the day's big sells. Gaurav, let me start off with you. Shreyas Iyer and Ishan Kisan, what the money that the 2 franchises have spent on them?
Absolutely, Adi. Good evening to you and all our viewers. I think both are excellent buys, and worth their weight, and worth the money that has been spent on them. People expected Shreyas to go for more since he's also captaincy material. But I think and I believe from what my sources were telling me for a long time, that RCB were also gunning for him, and perhaps CSK also, because they were also looking for a captain, for a new captain. So considering all this, Shreyas was always going to be a player much in demand. He's somebody who can bat in all gears, somebody who plays responsibly, is an experienced campaigner by now, keeps the middle order steady. So he's somebody who's pretty much a dependable batsman, especially in the T20 format. Last couple of years haven't been good for him in terms of injury. He suffered injuries. He suffered a major shoulder injury, because of which he underwent surgery. He came back and he's sort of easing his way through. But I think the last knock that he played, yesterday against the West Indies, sort of put up a case for him as somebody who can be considered to be a reliable batsman. So Shreyas was always going to be a hot property in the auctions. Perhaps people expected him to go for more, but he's worth it. And KKR did need a captain, considering last few years they have sort of lacked in the leadership department. And when it comes to Ishan Kisan, I think Mumbai Indians were always gunning for him. They wanted their core back, and Ishan Kisan is pretty much a part of that core. An explosive batsman who can open and who can also play in the middle order. So considering that they've already retained their top 4 players in Rohit and Bumrah and Pollard, I expected them to sort of go for Ishan, big time. But it seems that they broke the bank and they went all the way for him, and he's one of the few buys that they have made today, and pretty much expected. Because he's an explosive player.
Alan, let me take that to you before we drill down a bit further. Ishan Kisan and Shreyas Iyer.
Firstly, Aarti, thank you. Most importantly, I think this is the glitz, and I'm looking at your headlines, the glitz and the glamour, and obviously the dollars. This is incredible for Indian cricket, actually. I want to touch on that subject before I touch on everything else, because the whole world is watching, and it's really remarkable that India actually controls this, and the whole world, every cricketer, every cricket fan around the world is actually viewing into this and seeing how each one performs, and each one does well, and each one is sold at a certain price. Yes, Ishan Kisan, as expected from Mumbai Indians. I mean, what a story for this young guy. He's a dynamic cricketer. Mumbai Indians has definitely felt that they wanted him so desperately, so he's gone for a fantastic price. And Shreyas Iyer too. He's been playing cricket for quite a while, and they feel him that he's captaincy material for the IPL side. So this is excellent for both of them. But there's so much more to come. There's so much more happening in this IPL auction. That is really fever pitch. It's wonderful. I mean, I'm sitting here in Dubai, and I'm just looking and reading all the news. It's really exciting for everyone out there.
Well, Alan, you mentioned the world. It's I think, a good way to look at some of the international players who are in the mix and some who are not. And I think one of the most prominent names that is not there is Ben Stokes, a player who, is worth perhaps every penny that you spend. but who has decided to opt out of the IPL this year?
You see, with Ben Stokes, there's a lot of cricket being played with Ben Stokes over the years, and in the past few years, he's been like perhaps the best all-rounder in the world. A dynamic cricketer, an outstanding cricketer, but he's had a lean spell of late. He had a family issue. He's had some problems with his own cricket. They say that he has put on a little bit of weight. I really don't know much about that because you read the papers. But he hasn't done so well. And I think he's felt that it's best that he recovers rather than play this IPL because I think he's not fully fit. He wants to recover. He knows that England played badly in the Ashes. So England players have been getting hammered by the press out there. So for him to sit back and watch, I think it's good for him and personally for cricket because there's no need to play IPL just for the money. You need to play IPL when when you're fully fit. So perhaps Ben Stokes is not fully fit. He feels it's best for him to actually sit back and watch rather than play this year.
Anyone you're looking forward to, Alan? Anyone in the mix who you feel is going to be, again, worth that penny?
See, to be honest, I'm a big fan of a guy called Liam Livingston. I've been talking to Ravi Shastri for the last 5 years. I know this young boy. I know this boy so well. He comes from a little town in Barrow-in-Furness, which is in the Lake District in England. So I know this guy inside out. He's a remarkable cricketer. And of the last 2 years, he's hit the screen in a big way. Because right now, perhaps, according to me, he's the hottest cricketer in T20 cricket, because tomorrow, I think that's when they're going to talk about him. He's going to go for mega money. Liam Livingston is a dynamic batsman. He's a batsman that hits it miles. He's young. He's a brilliant fielder. He's also a decent bowler. So for him, I think it's a complete package. If this guy is packaged well, he is box office, because this kind of cricketer, you don't get every day. This is a once in a lifetime kind of cricketer. The world has not heard much of it, but trust me, tomorrow, all the IPL franchises will be bidding hard to get this boy, because this boy is special. And he comes, from the way he has played in the last couple of years, he's been outstanding. So my full concentration on this guy, Liam Livingston from the small town in Barrow-in-Furness, where actually I also live. So for me, it's a personal thing.
So yes, I was just going to say, this is regional bias, Alan. I think this is purely regional bias that is shining through very clearly. Gaurav, Alan was mentioning the big hot buy, someone whom every franchise is going to find out about soon. Shah Rukh Khan is another player, and I don't mean the actor, another guy who's in the mix and who was sold for 9 crores to Punjab Kings, another player whom everybody has been talking about and looking forward to. Gaurav, if you can hear me? Okay, we're having a little bit of trouble with that line with Gaurav. We'll try and come back to him. Alan, do you think this is going to be the year for the Royal Challengers? Bangalore has been such a talked about, franchisee. They try their best. They've had some of the best, the biggest names, but something just doesn't seem to click for them every year.
You see, it's not about having the best players. It's how you mix them and how you gel together as a team. I think they've struggled. I don't know who's the coach right now, but I think they've struggled to get the team together. They've got brilliant cricketers. They've got the King Kohli. There's no doubt about that. But there's so many of them, they're all outstanding cricketers, but they never seem to put it together. And that is the worry. So it's a backroom staff more than anything else, not just the cricketers. The backroom staff who need to work very hard to come as a unit. Because I find when you see Mumbai Indians and you see other teams, they play as a unit, Perhaps it's, the Ambani factor where they instill this, that, you've got to win at all costs. You have to be absolutely professional. So that is drilled in the Mumbai Indian teams. I find the RCB lacking in that respect, that they do not play together as a unit. And that is their problem. It's not about being outstanding cricketers. They're all outstanding. But together as a team, they've been pretty poor over the years.
Gaurav is back with us. Gaurav, we lost your line briefly, and I was just asking you about Shah Rukh Khan. He's been sold for 9 crores to Punjab Super Kings.
Aarti, believe me, he is every worth the penny that is being spent on him in this auction. He's somebody who has tremendous big hitting ability. He can really hit the ball a lot.
Okay, we seem to be having some difficulty again with Gaurav's lines. One of the banes of live broadcast, of course, as we keep having these issues every now and then. Alan, I'm going to have to come back to you because we've lost Gaurav for just a bit. We were talking, of course, of RCB. This year, who's your pick? Who do you think is going to be crowned champion?
To be honest, I like the Delhi Capitals because that move that the Delhi Capitals have made of getting David Warner for that price, I mean this is an outstanding buy. I think it's about 6 crores or something that way. To get David Warner at that price is remarkable. It's brilliant from the management who they went in quick and they got him. So they're going to be one of the favorites, but you cannot write off Mumbai Indians because this Mumbai Indian team, it's instilled in their psyche, it's instilled in the company itself that they know how to win, they know how to make a team. So for me, it's two teams, Delhi Capitals and Mumbai Indians, that will be actually fighting for the trophy. But you never know in IPL. In IPL, sometimes you get somebody else, like many, many years ago, you had Rajasthan Royals. But I don't see, besides these two, which one's going to fight for it.
Alan, thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep, analyzing this further. The IPL, of course, some time away. We hope to have you then with us as well. It's a tournament worth looking forward to. Unfortunately, we lost that line with Gaurav. Would have loved to discuss this further. But Alan Sippy, thank you so much for joining us here this evening.